and I would like to first introduce to you somebody really special. When I read his profile, he comes from Egypt, in fact, and his story is very similar to that of a phoenix bird, which burnt its roots in Egypt, went all the way to Denmark, and in fact the first hotel that he bought was also named Phoenix. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Enan Galaly. Enan Galaly is the ambassador to historic relations from Middle East, and he represents Denmark. He also holds the title of the first degree Knight of Danneberg. When I read his stories, I must truly say that he's very inspiring. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please invite Mr. Dr. Enan El Galaly. Can we have a huge round of applause for him, please?
Okay. Good afternoon. It's an honor for me to be here with you today. And excuse me, I have to read what I would like to tell you because it is some translation issues. Ladies and gentlemen, first I would like to thank Mr. Denis Samel for giving me this opportunity and the honor to stand here at this African Summit, which I hope we all together will make a basic cooperation related to our different sectors. Growing up in Africa, and due to my different international positions, I touched our several countries' problems and opportunities throughout my visits, and because I spend most of my time on the planes flying between many nations and several parts of the world, meeting people and on the streets, meeting businessmen, officials, sometimes head of the states. Recently, I noticed that our countries have the entire natural as well as human resources that enable us to be the most wealthy countries in the world. Yet some of the young people lose their lives in the seas, on the boats, as refugees, seeking the goals of reaching Europe, even if they will sleep on the streets in camps, which I consider as an unacceptable issue. To mention myself, I faced the same problem when I came to Europe, and I slept in phone boxes and also in homeless places. I left my home country, Egypt, without any education or qualifications, not even with any money in my pocket, but in the other pocket I have had only the value, traditions, and beliefs that I stuck to. My goals were only to find a bed to sleep on and also a meal a day. When I achieved that, I started to focus for my work and to gain the experience and respect that I lacked to have at that time. My next target was to develop myself, my career, and my work to be used for developing people, hotels, cities, and countries. Africa today needs the same slogan, development, but with the huge qualifications that each country has. I am not pleased to see thousands of coastlines with the best sandy beaches in the world that compete with the Hawaiian beaches, but without one umbrella on any of them. Moreover, for example, the fishing sectors, which is valuable in our African coasts. These fishing or these fish are caught by the African labor force on the foreign ships boards, sailing back home to Europe, factories where the most of the employees are also African, and may be working with the low salaries to produce different kinds of frozen or canned fish, and when it's sold, it will be sold globally in the global market as a production of non-African countries. It is our shoreline, our fish, our labor force, but in the end, it is a foreign product, while the African national economy is at the same time is suffering. Moreover, in some countries I visited, which have huge production, selling their product, huge fruit productions. They're selling the products in the streets with very low prices. And due to its massive amount, a lot of them, of those fruits, throwing away as a waste. However, in the same country, in the same place, when I want to buy a bottle of juice from the same kind of fruit in the market, I was shocked to find only imported canned juice. My journey ended up in Denmark, the country which has one of the highest living standards of the world. Without major natural resources, Africa should be aware that most of our countries have a lot of natural resources, while the majority of the country's populations have low living standard, and some of them are suffering from extreme poverty. I have not forgotten my native country, Egypt. I came back to Egypt and used my experience, my knowledge, my network, and the funds to make basic for tourism development in different cities, promising cities as national and international destinations. Therefore, we should never forget the qualified African people who live abroad and they have the experience, the financing resources, as well as the knowledge and know-how, who can participate to give support to their native countries in different sectors for the benefit of themselves and the country they belong to. When we speak about tourism, especially tourist sector, it's a sector which needs a lot of development in our area. One of the European countries have an income from tourism is equal with the largest oil producer country in the world. One of the African presidents asked me why you are interested in our countries. My answer was, Mr. President, most of your countries in Africa need development in different sectors. If I spend my time in Europe, the salaries for our employees, for example, in Scandinavian countries, for hours or 1 hour or 2 hours, is equal for one salary we pay for 1 month in different African countries. Besides, in Europe, I will suffer, for example, in Europe, I will also suffer from hundreds of competitors and investors. In North America, I will compete with thousands of businessmen. While in any of the African countries, I will not face such matter, and any taken steps, it will be appreciated from population and also from the officials. This kind of appreciation does not exist in many different parts of the world. Our hotel sector is facing a problem which we have to consider. All other industries during decades have already been updated by modern machinery and electronic related to the production by the new technology. The mentioned productions have saved labor force expenses, which we cannot implement in our sector today. This is due to our hotels operation that depend on human factors for providing the different services and the quality, which make a great load both on the daily work and the financing facts. Moreover, most of our hotels have running operationally 24/7 throughout the year, and this makes the hospitality sector different from other fields. The hotel investment is still a promising investment. The hotel investment is one of the cheapest investments we can do. And at the same time, it affects the unemployment rate, because we need in our hotels a huge amount of, or large amount of laborers. So this affects the unemployment rate, which is needed in most of our African countries. Some of our African countries have made a huge progress in the tourism sector during the last decades. Number of hotels have been increased suddenly by many thousands of rooms. We forgot that to be a tourist destination is not only by building hotels, but also to develop the human resources who must be able to serve professionally in different positions after using the training and technical education. It is also needed to prepare the country by the suitable infrastructure, in addition to giving the right information for the local people to appreciate that the tourism do not have only positive impact on the income of the hotels or airlines, but also affecting the different sectors in the national economy and national income. The tourists can always become a potential investors in this country in different fields where they belong to, and not only is coming to our countries as a tourist. While most of the world has unstable condition at the current time regarding different political systems as capitalist, socialist, communist, or democracies. All the mentioned systems what I mentioned for you, are suffering, and some of them collapsed, while others have run away from their own basic constitutions, values, and traditions, or life philosophy and beliefs. Therefore, the world has to find a new mixed system between all of what I mentioned of systems. Some of countries in the world have mixed those systems and achieved remarkable development, some of them as the Scandinavian countries. The world situation today will not make our future plans easy to develop the different sectors in Africa, even the tourist sector, because most of the countries is engaged fighting terrorism, unstable conditions, moreover by the wars which is existing in several parts of the world. So we have also some economic crises that many of the countries have at the same time in nowadays. All this affecting the foreign interest to invest in our countries. Due to these factors or facts, we are forced to use the African existing sources to develop and to provide investment in our countries to achieve our target at the current time. I would like to thank you for listening, and I hope that all of us not only think, but always make practical steps and decisions which, with new vision and new missions for the opportunities which is existing surrounding us, to support each city you live or we live in, each country we belong to, because Africa deserves a promising future, opportunities which were neglected hundreds of years, especially in the current time, where many parts of the world have achieved development in several fields, especially in the tourist sector. I hope that all of you will have a fruitful summit, and everyone, all of us can thank the team which have arranged this wonderful and unforgettable issue, matters, and the place, and very nice organized conference. And if any of the attendees would like to give me any question, I would be happy to answer it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Enan.